I'm lost.
Yeah, so we decided on Shattermare. It's like an inside joke between us and kind of like a dig at Dark Horse too, because we saw
I like that.
Yeah, we saw their logo and we're like, nothing wrong with Dark Horse, but we're like, how do we make ours cooler? So
we started a Dungeons and Dragons campaign about three or so years ago.
yeah.
Our friend Wilson, he was diagnosed with cancer, and he was really into like Dungeons and Dragons stuff. He wanted to, so we were doing that for a while, and unfortunately, like he passed away. And we continued on. Like we're still doing the Dungeons and Dragons campaign like to this day.
Same one, the same ongoing.
Same one. We just one of the players became the DM and took over. Like he left like the notes and stuff.
So your friend was the DM.
He was the DM, but now our friend Josh has taken over. So the first arc of the comic, that campaign, part of the campaign that Wilson run, and then, an homage to him, or dedication to him as well. Yeah. So, and right now, we're still going strong. It's like year 3. I joined probably year 2.
Yeah, you joined a little bit later. I was there at the beginning. Josh is like the new DM. He was there at the beginning as well. And we were just like talking after a session one day, and we decided to try and like turn it into like a comic book to kind of like commemorate, our late friend Wilson, and like we all like this kind of stuff. So
yeah, we're biased because we love our story. We play it. So
you should love your story, because if you don't, what's the point?
Right. So we're hoping other people like it as much as we do, and that's why we wanted to turn it into a comic. Some things are changed to make the continuity work for a comic, but we're hoping that when you read it, you get the feeling of this, like a nostalgic feeling of, oh yeah, this reminds me of my gaming group, right? Like this is something silly or stupid my character would do.
Is it still based on the campaign you're doing? So like when you play, you then turn that adventure into like the next issue kind of thing, or have they kind of branched off?
We're still working on the very first issue. It should be coming out in about January.
Right.
But we intend on eventually down the line when we get the later issues, it'll keep going in the direction our campaign has gone to this point, because it's still like a continuation of that story.
This is like a really like a different version of it's like a different version of, instead of most people do podcasts, you guys turned your play into like a comic.
Yeah. Actually, when we were about to start the comic, we started doing Twitch streams of the game, and then we realized, well, first of all, it's a lot of work. Second of all, we were like, oh shit, if this blows up and we release the comic, we're like spoiling 2 arcs of the story ahead.
Yeah, because we would be playing like stuff way ahead of time, so you'd already know so much like about the issues we're releasing now. So we kind of like haven't been doing Twitch streams.
That's true.
Stop that.
So how long was it before, like, when you started to when you decided you wanted to make the comic? Like, because you said you were playing, and you're like, we want to do this. So how long before?
So probably a year and a half ago was that session where we said, why don't we mess around and make this into a comic? We really like the story, and the DM takes really detailed notes. And so from there, we've gone through several artists. The original one was a friend. The original writer was a friend. They came on board, had to drop out just because we found out how much of a time commitment a comic is.
Like a D&D campaign does.
Yeah, exactly. So, so we've gone through a couple of different groups, but this is kind of our core group, the team, us 3, and then the artist we commission out. And
so the artist doesn't play with you guys?
No, the artist doesn't. We actually, he's in Russia.
Yeah.
Roll 20.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. He does great work though.
He does. Pretty impressed by the art.
When you got the first one, were you just kind of like, man, like you don't have to call anyone out, but was it like, how did you know that it just wasn't right until you found this guy from Russia?
The time constraints were really difficult.
So
it's like you're doing the comic, like it's gonna be like, when you need something, you need something.
Yeah.
So
we
like
have weekly writing meetings, art deadlines.
You have to, the work has to get done. You have to have meetings about the work. It's like a big time commitment.
And as owners of the company, none of us are getting paid right now.
So yeah.
I know exactly how that is. I mean, we just started ours. We had we were a bigger YouTube channel, and unfortunately our boss sold us. So we made a new channel. So yeah, we're in the process of doing that where it's like, it's literally just Robin, Tristan, and I and his dad. And so it's like, we want to, do stuff, but time-wise, it's hard to do. And like, we can't like pay people right now and anything like that. So it's like, we're stuck in a loop of wanting to do it, but it can't be our main focus right now because it's not making money, but it's not making money, so it can't be our main focus. It's a vicious cycle. So I know how the creative process, how hard that can be.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I mean, we're in a decent position where we can pay the artist and we can do that shipping, and then we basically do all the writing and editing in-house. So it's worked out so far. It's working out.
So how do you guys? Because I know we actually tried to do a live play podcast as well, but so when you guys, since you don't do it on Twitch anymore, you said the DM just takes fantastic notes. Like, how do you remember all the stuff that happened in the campaign in order to, when you start writing it down? Like, do you take notes? Do you film it for yourselves as notes? Or?
So yeah, we had notes from the original DM that he kind of passed on to us. I know I took some notes when I was playing, and I still take some notes when I'm playing. And then like between like me and some of the original players, like we can remember if we talk it through like some of the things that happened, and occasionally we'll have to like add something new to it to kind of make the story work in a certain sense. So there's some creative liberties. Kind of like, I mean, in the original campaign, game started and we were all like in a cabin. So like part of the first issue, like we added in like how did they end up in the cabin?
Okay.
Dungeons and Dragons campaign, it's kind of like
that's the continuity
you're
stuff
together.
I mentioned
Go.
earlier. Yeah, like we still have some of that where the first issue they just meet the guy who's the quest giver, and you're like, oh yeah, this is D&D. There's just a guy there. It's just like, hey, follow me. Well, you'll see it in the comic. But yeah, we had to add stuff like that where it's like, okay, why would these characters actually be here? Why would they interact with each other? What are their motivations? More storyline driven stuff. So we try to balance the two. Yeah, we also take way better player notes now because we realized if we don't take the notes now, a year from now when we get to where we want to be, we'll just forget a lot of things.
Yeah, because you guys said you're doing this comic now and you haven't come out with the first issue, but this session was, you said, a couple of years ago or about a year or so ago. So yeah, trying to remember that. I have ADHD myself. I don't know if I'd ever be able to do that.
Yeah, so we just we came up with the arc and roughly how many issues it would be, and we kind of just storyboarded, not literally storyboarded, but we did a roadmap. And so we said, okay, what are all the major story beats that happen in the game that the players, or the characters, will hit too? And then we just kind of went, umbrella top down from there. We had to actually, that was one of the first things we had to address, because we couldn't release a comic and be like, well, how does it end? Right? Like, where's the climax? That kind of stuff. So
that's why you got story arcs. So you have like your climaxes, and then the next like arc starts. So
yeah.
Now I wanted to say this because I saw this earlier, and because at the time I was looking for Silver Bear, which great, but I saw this and I didn't know it was you guys until I saw the thing where they're giving away the raffle ticket to put a person from here into your comic.
Yeah.
Which, that's one of the coolest things I've ever heard. How'd you guys decide that you wanted to do that?
Well, we're about to launch the Indiegogo too, and so we were coming up with reward tier ideas, and I don't know, it was one of the three of us was just like, why would it, like, would you want to be in a comic? And because it's already inspired by us playing the characters, which is kind of our personalities to begin with.
In a way, we're kind of already in the comic in a way.
Right, and so we're like, well, why don't we give that opportunity to someone else? And so one of the reward tiers, or a couple of them we're going to do in the Indiegogo anyways, is that. But when we came to the con, we're like, yeah, let's raffle it in. Why not give someone the chance to be drawn into one of the first three issues?
That's amazing. Seriously, it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Like when the lady was handing them out. So you're obviously represented in the comic with characters that are based on you guys. So tell me about each of your characters, the names and everything, and just more about them, and player or alignment, race, the classic, everything.
Okay, so I mean, the character I played, his name is Shump. He is a Shump Sheppen. Got the alliteration in there. I took like I think it was like like a gnome name and an orc name. He's half gnome, half orc.
Nork.
Yes, Nork. Nobody knows what you're saying when you say that, so I just say half gnome, half orc. He is a fighter, and he only has one hand. He lost his hand. He's got a pretty long backstory that I don't want to like spoil too much by going into. But yeah, he lost one of his hands. He kind of like straps a shield to like what's left of his arm.
Now, does he hold it like this, or like this, like Captain America, or is it strapped to like this stub?
It's like strapped to a stub.
Okay.
And then he.
Oh, so he still holds it normally.
Oh yeah,
just,
yeah.
Okay.
And then like his other hand, he'll use like a hand axe or whatever. Usually a hand axe, but whatever weapon he can get a hold of.
Huh?
He wasn't here at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So he was not in the campaign.
Yeah, so my character won't show up until like probably arc 2. Yeah, but
if you want to avoid spoilers, you can, or you can tell who your characters
are. Yeah, I'll tell about them. Well, okay, yeah. So I'll tell about another character, and then I'll tell about mine. So there's a warlock, and we got him on the poster. His name is Salazar, and so the backstory. He's another one of our friends, and the backstory behind him is he's this guy. He's got a troubled past, like every edgy D&D character, and but his arc is he slowly goes insane. I guess we could talk about it.
Yeah,
he slowly goes insane over the course of arc 1, and so he just becomes completely chaotic neutral. I guess he's just a human. His race is human. Human warlock. Yeah. So, and then my character comes in, we'll say arc 2 somewhere, and he's like the acolyte of this guy, because he's like, oh, this guy's super powerful. I want to go find him. I want to go follow him and be a student. But when I join the group, I find out that, well, he's powerful, but he also goes around, completely destroying cities sometimes because of the mayhem.
As you do.
Yeah, the mayhem they cause because they're trying to kill like a hag, or like they have a bounty on a guy, and so they cause, what's the equivalent of millions of dollars in collateral damage trying to find the thief or something.
So the Avengers.
Yeah, exactly. So that's when my character comes in. He's a tiefling warlock as well. Sorry.
Yeah, Salazar's kind of like the wild card of the group.
Yeah.
So who are some of the other characters?
Well, our current DM, his character at the beginning, his name's Theron. He's like a half elf, assassin, basically. So he takes everything very seriously. He's a good like counter to like Salazar and his wild wackiness, and Theron's like really distrustful of magic. Salazar is a warlock, so the two kind of like they butt heads a lot, and they don't necessarily get along, and there's a lot of infighting in our story. So a lot of arguments and things happen, but they usually bond together to make things happen, accomplish their goal.
It's like every dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I can punch my brother, but you can't punch my brother,
Right.
Gabe was here, the other guy's at our booth. But it's his character. He's like a dwarven monk. His name's Harbeck, and he was raised by wolves. You want to talk about Harbeck a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So he's kind of like, I don't remember exactly what the inspiration was, but I'm gonna go with Tarzan. Or Jungle Book, whatever. So yeah, he's a dwarven monk raised by wolves. He gets taken in by this eclectic group of monks in some monastery, so they train him to be a monk. He kind of starts this order of the wolf, and so he's super antisocial. He's like a fish out of water. There's a lot of humor with him, and but he's all about the pack, right? So he's very invested in the group that he runs into. That is our group.
The wolf acting out, yeah.
He's very social, but he also has no like social intelligence. So it's
I like that.
Yeah, he has no concept of what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's just not used to being in a society of people.
So where can everyone find you?
Shattermarecomics.com. The domain was available. So
That's amazing. See, our domain wasn't available. We're fighting someone for it.
Oh,
so.
Oh, man.
yeah. I don't feel. I mean, I feel for you. Like I'm not envious of you. But yeah, ShattermareComics.com, pretty much everywhere, Instagram, Twitter.
All the same handle?
Same handle, either Shattermare or Shattermare Comics.
Thank you for joining us. And once again, oh my God, I love that. God, he is really good. So anyway, thank you guys for joining us, and we really appreciate it. And good luck with everything.
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome.
Appreciate it,
I was gonna say we'll send people by, but it's not live. We're not doing a live one today. So
Just yell it.
thank you
Just
guys.
send them to our website. It's fine.
Of course. Oh, I love the shirt too.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see that.